At this moment, Lily in the field suddenly laughed madly, as if her body had undergone evolution. The Hammer Club captain who saw this scene was completely frightened. Now they just want to hurry home to find their mothers. Sully seized the opportunity. He charged towards Lily in a sprint. But he ended up missing. Instead, he was kicked to the ground by Lily. With a bang, Lily again swept a kick across Sully's face. The powerful force sent Sully flying hundreds of meters in an instant. At this moment, Lily hoisted a rocket launcher and shouted, "Aren't you immortal? Let's see how you handle this." Sully, who was beaten all over, just got up and saw gasoline next to him. He immediately picked up a bucket and started pouring it into his mouth. At the same time, Lily's rocket also shot towards him with a bang. But after a flash of light, the rocket was split in half. It turned out that Sully's combat power, which had been supplemented with gasoline, had increased by another level. Lily was also hit by Sully's blow. Hammer Club captain and deputy general, who saw this scene, exclaimed, "It's over. This time it's definitely doomed." At this moment, Sully taunted, "I've told you before that I am invincible. Be more careful in your next life." However, just at that moment, Zombie on the rooftop suddenly raised his hand and clenched his fist. Lily's body, which was previously separated, miraculously began to heal. This change left Sully completely shocked. Surprisingly, Lily also has an indestructible body. She said that this is the correct way to use a Gatling machine gun. Hit directly with a stick. Even Sully is confused for a while. It turns out it was just now. Lily is being transformed by Zombie's super virus. Not only has her combat power increased by several levels, even obtained the same immortality as Sully. Both the Hammer Club captain and Bike just want to hurry home to find their mothers. On the other hand, the two people in the field are now getting more and more excited as they fight. Just saw Lily with an evil smile shouting, "Not bad. I'm in a good mood today. I'll play with you to the end." When Sully heard this, he was very confused and thought, "Why does it feel like she looks more like a zombie?" And at this moment, Zombie, who was observing from the rooftop, also didn't expect it. Lily's potential turned out to be so strong after undergoing gene mutation. At this moment, she was already shattered to pieces all over her body. And the pain of being cut in half just now was also very real. "We need to end the battle quickly," Zombie thought. "Sully, since you are not taking good care of yourself at home, don't blame me for using Lily to teach you a lesson." Under Zombie's deliberate manipulation, the potential within Lily's body is once again triggered. Just in a moment, she had already arrived in front of Sully. Then came a loud bang. Lily punched Sully in the face. The great force sent him flying back dozens of meters. But at that moment, Lily flashed behind it again. Then she hammered the butt of the gun hard on Sully's forehead. With a loud bang, as the dust slowly settled. Sully had just climbed out of the pit when he saw Lily standing in front of him. Then there was a series of explosive falls and beatings. At that moment, Sully had no ability to resist at all. Watching Lily about to unleash another combo attack on him, Sully hurriedly raised his hand to surrender. And he also stated that he would go home immediately and never come out again. Zombie looked embarrassed when he heard this. And the green-haired guy observing in the control room is also very confused. Lily put the machine gun on the ground. Her tense state disappeared instantly. At this moment, Sully, who was hiding in the ditch, also noticed this change in her. He immediately jumped out and threw a punch, landing a sneak attack on Lily's face. Zombie, who saw the scene, immediately started swearing. He shouted, "Lily, what are you doing? Do you believe it's nonsense? And once you let your guard down, it will immediately revert to its original state." Upon hearing this, Lily looked regretful. She didn't expect the state to disappear so easily. At this moment, Sully taunted arrogantly, "So you took some stimulants." Now that the drug effect is worn off, let's see how you'll die. Zombie, who witnessed the scene, had an expression of speechlessness. He said, "It seems like I have to take action myself." The green-haired guy who was observing in the dark at this moment was extremely excited. This zombie is too strong. It even knows how to play sneak attacks. Immediately, he excitedly manipulated the keyboard, wanting Sai to eliminate all of them. As Sai approached step by step, he watched as he was about to kill Lily, and them with his own hands. Green-haired guy noticed that there seemed to be one more person on the street. Zombie Sai, who was slowly approaching, suddenly stopped his movements. Just when green-haired guy thought he was going to see another good show, Sai suddenly became inarticulate. At this point, Zombie shouted angrily, "Didn't I tell you to stay home? Why did you come here?" The people next to them were momentarily stunned. And in the monitoring room at this moment, green-haired guy also had a shocked expression on his face. Because no matter how he manipulated it, Sai had no reaction at the moment. With Zombie's appearance, Sai's consciousness was instantly pulled back hundreds of years. It was their first meeting, and at that time, he thought Zombie was just a little zombie. Never did he expect that in just a few short years, Zombie would become the leader of the zombie world. The scene returned to the present. At this moment, Lily and the others were wearing expressions of disbelief. Just now, the once arrogant Sai was now so scared that he wet his pants. Do you know how terrifying Zombie in its second form is? Sai, who has an immortal body, was only glanced at by him. He was so scared that he wet his pants. Green-haired guy, who saw the scene, had an incredulous expression on his face. He immediately frantically pressed the control panel, wanting to continue controlling Sai, but looking at Zombie approaching him step by step. At this moment, Sai was already too scared to even breathe. Sai thought of that summer hundreds of years ago again. At that time, he was still the dominant King Sai. But until that guy named Zombie appeared. At first, Sai thought the other party was just an ordinary little zombie, but the next second, he was pinched on the mouth by Zombie. He said, "From now on, you are my sidekick. Any dissatisfaction?" Sai, who heard this, hurriedly nodded to express his agreement. The scene returns to the present. At this moment, Sai dare not move at all. Green-haired guy is now angry. Immediately, he angrily scolded, "You are immortal. What are you afraid of?" Little did they know, Sai had been turned into pieces and hung on a tree for hundreds of years by Zombie before because he didn't listen. So now no matter how green-haired guy tries to control Sai, Sai's body instinctively wants to resist. At this moment, the computers controlling the zombies were all smashed by green-haired guy. And Sai, afraid as well, immediately ran away on the spot. Green-haired guy, witnessing this scene, was stunned on the spot, while the trio of onlookers next to him also looked utterly confused. As for the real zombie, he thought to himself, "Sai, this kid is really rude. Am I that scary to him?" He watched as his plan was ruined by Zombie. Green-haired guy was very angry. But just as he was about to continue, suddenly a big hand fell on his shoulder. He said, "Forget about it. These zombies are just appetizers. The real show is just beginning." As soon as he finished speaking, several armed helicopters appeared in the sky at an altitude of 10,000 meters. It turned out to be the president of Abnormal Entity Academy and his team. I saw Launchy asking the traitor, "Is your Jamin right below us?" He said they are hiding about 1,000 meters underground, and the total area covers more than 10,000 square meters. Launchy, upon hearing this, couldn't help but be stunned. She asked, "How are we supposed to find them in such a vast underground area?" However, before she could finish her sentence, the president of Steel Club pulled out her sword and said, "Now, watch my performance." He shot out from the helicopter like a sharp sword. Seeing this scene, Launchy couldn't help but sarcastically say, "You really are a reckless person." But the Steel Club president, who heard this remark, did not retreat but instead advanced, only to see him wave the long knife in his hand freely from side to side. Already it had shown a fierce spiral and headed towards the ground. There was a loud bang on the ground. I didn't expect that. It was just a few breath moments. Steel Club President smashed a 100-meter deep crater into the ground. At this moment, Lanchi was speechless. She said, "This guy is so naive." Then she started venting to the president, making such a big fuss. What if there's a trap downstairs? However, the president seemed indifferent when he heard this. He even mentioned that in the face of absolute power, all traps are as good as non-existent. He then leaped out of the helicopter. Can you believe that the little zombie in front of you, who has not even weaned off milk, is actually a zombie king capable of destroying humanity? When all armed forces entered the underground city, they searched for a long time, but did not find any suspicious individuals. This confused both the Steel Club president and the general. Did Dr. Jamin run away? Meanwhile, on the ground, Lanchi couldn't help but comment. Why do we have to stay up here while they rush down to make arrests? Zoe, upon hearing this, could only offer a faint admonition. Their rank is higher than ours, after all. The scene then shifts back to a tall building. He asked. All of their people rushed in. What should we do next? Jamin, upon hearing this, adjusted his glasses and said, It's time to show them my great experiment. Execute Plan A. At the same time in the underground city, the Steel Club president arrived in front of a cylindrical cultivation chamber. Driven by curiosity, he peeled off the paper note on the cultivation chamber. It says Zombie King inside. Steel Club president couldn't tolerate such words. He immediately ordered his men to open him up. But just at this moment, the nearby general suddenly expressed, Our main objective is to capture people. Seeing that they were not fooled, green-haired guy hurriedly reported to Jamin that they unexpectedly chickened out. Jamin, who heard this, remained calm. He took a detonator from his pocket and, as he pressed the button, the next second, the remote-controlled bomb behind the incubator started its countdown. The general who heard this sound suddenly felt a sense of unease. But at this moment, it was already too late to dodge. Then, a loud explosion suddenly rang out. The flames instantly engulfed all the soldiers present. However, this level of explosion was considered light by the Steel Club president. Even scratching an itch for him would be considered mild. But when Jamin learned about the breeding, things inside the chamber came out. He immediately burst into a mad laughter, looking up to the sky, full of anger. He said, The destruction of humanity shall begin today. I am your greatest experiment. Go slaughter all of humanity. Even including me is fine. The scene once again shifts to this side of the underground dungeon, after the smoke slowly disperses. At this moment, both the Steel Club president and the general have a bewildered expression on their faces. Just because the red-horned zombie written on the note turned out to be a baby zombie that hasn't even been weaned yet. The Steel Club president, who saw this scene, was stunned. Is this red-horned zombie kidding? Just as the Steel Club president was about to step forward to investigate, the general suddenly patted his shoulder as a gesture. The more harmless they appear, the more dangerous they are. After all, it wasn't long ago that the general gained a deep understanding of this. But the unsuspecting Steel Club president doesn't care about that at all. He just rushes in and swings his blade. However, the obviously still suckling little zombie dodges in an extremely extraordinary manner. General, who saw this scene, couldn't help but shout, I knew it would be like this. Then he waved his big hand and shouted at the soldiers behind him, Run quickly, or we will all die. As soon as his words fell, all the soldiers hurriedly ran outside. The undefeated Steel Club president, however, looked disdainful. He didn't believe that a small zombie could turn the tide. Then, there was another fierce blow that hit the zombie. Watching as the zombie Steel Club president was sliced in half by a single strike, one might have thought it was all over. But the next moment, that little zombie unexpectedly split into two separate entities. The president of the Steel Club, who witnessed this scene, was dumbfounded. What on earth is this monster? The two separate small zombies suddenly made a strange noise. Then they eerily merged together. What happened next was beyond anyone's imagination, because Zombie's wife showed up. It happened just now, after General and a few others broke into the underground dungeon. However, they only found a zombie holding a pacifier. They had already escaped to the rooftop long ago. Let's release the zombie now, before they find out. Then we can make a run for it. Green-haired guy released all the zombies in the city. A large number of zombies charged towards Lanchi and the others. However, Lanchi, who saw the scene, was not at all flustered. Just as the subordinate next to him was about to call for backup, she said, "No need." She stepped forward and took the hair tie off the top of her head. The hair tie turned into a sharp sword. Lanchi holding a sword is as graceful as a generation of female knights, as it swished by with a brushing sound. She kicked right on the chin of the zombie. Then came the sound of bang, bang, bang echoing out. The next second, all the zombies on the street were kicked into the air by Lanchi. And at this moment, Lanchi is using the elasticity of a big tree. Then with a swoosh, flew towards the sky. The deputy general, who saw the scene, was suddenly shocked. Just witnessed Lanchi in the air whizzing past with extremely fast swordsmanship. Just a few moments of breathing, and those zombies in the air were all cut into pieces. The deputy general, who was having lunch at this moment, was stunned. Just because a top-notch zombie sushi unexpectedly appeared on his plate. At this moment, Lanchi, with both hands crossed, hummed, "It's not warm up enough for me." And at this time, green-haired guy on the rooftop was furious. He didn't expect the zombie that was just released to be taken care of by her. It would have been better if the chainsaw zombie from before was still around. He then directed the other zombies to charge towards Lanchi. But just at that moment, two strange figures suddenly appeared in the alley. It turned out that D-Dog and Bieber also arrived here. At this moment, Bieber stepped forward and pulled a zombie, asking, "Have you seen this zombie in the picture?" But before he could finish his sentence, the zombie snatched the paper from his hand and threw it away. Bieber, who saw the scene, was speechless for a while. He thought in his heart, "This wild zombie is really rude." At this time, D-Dog stepped forward and asked, "If we can't find Saw Zombie, will they beat us up too?" Upon hearing this, Bieber couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Then he reassured himself that they would find it. Meanwhile, in the underground city, a zombie holding a pacifier reached out wanting a hug. General and the other person were speechless for a moment upon seeing this. The Steel Club president drew his sword and attacked the zombie. However, the zombie managed to dodge the strike. At that moment, the Steel Club president suddenly powered up. Then, with a swipe, he chopped the zombie into two pieces. However, the zombie, which was chopped into two pieces, acted as if nothing had happened. After bouncing around a few times, it merged back together. This time, the Steel Club president was instantly enraged and shouted, "If you have the guts, don't run! Do you dare to fight me in a real battle?" The zombie suddenly pulled out the pacifier. Then something strange happened. The small zombie, who was originally less than 1 meter tall, has now become a tall and sexy zombie. The two generals who saw this scene were instantly dumbfounded. The zombie suddenly said to them, "If you don't click the subscribe or like button, I'll come for you tonight." You must not mess with this sexy long-legged zombie. Steel Club president just took a glance at her. He was crippled by her with just one kick. It happened just now when that zombie puppy pulled out the pacifier. turned into a long-legged sexy zombie in a bizarre way. However, for the straight male Steel Club president, beautiful women only affect his speed in drawing his sword. Immediately, he swung his double-edged blade fiercely towards the sexy zombie. But the next second, he was dumbfounded on the spot. Just because of his domineering blow, sexy zombie just gently raised her hand and caught it. And no matter how hard he tried, the steel knife could not advance half a point anymore. Seeing this scene, the Steel Club president knew that he was probably not her opponent. He immediately turned around and shouted loudly, "What are you standing there for? Come over and help quickly!" The general who heard these words also didn't stay hidden. Then came a loud bang. Mecha number 1 made a dazzling appearance. But he hadn't even had a chance to make a move. He was immediately sent flying by a knee strike from Sexy Zombie. The terrifying force was even more direct, punching through an entire building. Finally, coincidentally landing in front of Bieber and D-Dog. Looking at this human who suddenly appeared, D-Dog asked subconsciously, "He seems to be dying. Should we save him?" Beside him, Bieber retorted, "Are you stupid? We are zombies after all." Just then, there was another deafening noise from the other side of the dungeon. Soon after, the Steel Club president was sent flying out like a cannonball. Zoe and Launchy quickly ran up and asked, "What happened in the dungeon?" I saw only the Steel Club president enduring the pain, pointing behind them, indicating, "You see for yourselves." The two who heard this quickly turned their heads. However, when they saw the newcomer clearly, they instantly revealed faces of surprise. Just because that sexy zombie at the moment, leaning leisurely on the railing and yawning. Then she didn't forget to wink at Launchy and the other person. Watching this strange scene, Zoe suddenly felt that this zombie was definitely out of the ordinary. Launchy beside her also acted quickly. Drawing the sword in her hand, she signaled cooperation for the next move. We can't let her escape. Facing the pressure from the two presidents, this sexy zombie remained completely calm. She even leisurely extended her hand to signal them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Zombie and a few others were leisurely grilling skewers over there. At this moment, the Steel Club vice president picked up a glass. The Lafite from 82 said provocatively, "President Rand, please have a drink." But Zombie had just picked up the glass and hadn't even had a chance to drink yet. Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound came from the other end of the street. The strange sound made Lily next to her startled. What happened over there? Upon hearing this, Zombie stood up immediately. Let's go! Let's go together and see what exactly happened. Zombie's wife is coming to look for Zombie. Originally, the sexy zombie with a well-proportioned figure. At this moment, it has turned into a mutated monster with an 8-pack abs. It was just now. I'm ready to team up to deal with that female zombie. But the sexy zombie showed no sign of retreating at all. Instead, she went straight towards them. At this moment, Launchy took the lead. He fiercely threw the sword in his hand towards her. But it only landed on the face of the sexy zombie, leaving a small cut. Zoe beside her also quickly drew her sword and rushed forward. She was kicked in the chin by the sexy zombie instead. The intense pain almost made Zoe faint. At this moment, sexy zombie spoke. Unfortunately, the power difference was too great. Zoe, who heard this, could not bear this indignity. So she spun in the air with a 360-degree rotation. Then she kicked right on the head of sexy zombie with a bang. However, such a fierce blow. Sexy zombie was completely unharmed. Zoe, who witnessed this scene, suddenly felt uneasy. She immediately hurriedly took a step back and retreated. Just as she was stepping back, on the side, Launchy was waving his sword and rushing over. I saw countless sword energy swirling around sexy zombie's body. The surrounding buildings were all divided into numerous pieces by the sword energy. However, despite that, the sexy zombie remained unharmed. Meanwhile, on the other side, Steel Club president, enduring the pain, arrived at a secluded place. He quickly took off his pants. Afterwards, he activated the back motor on his neck. The next second, a series of mechanical clicking sounds rang out. In no time at all, Steel Club president successfully transformed into an Iron Knight. This is the secret weapon of Steel Club Iron Knight. The scene once again shifts back to Lanchi's side. At this moment, they are engaged in a fierce back-and-forth battle. But just as Zoe and Lanchi were about to launch their final attack towards her, the sexy zombie in the middle suddenly extended a 2.5-meter-long tongue, and if you don't subscribe to her, she will come to kiss you. Then, there was a series of mutating growths on her body. Lanchi, who saw the scene, was shocked on the spot. What is this thing? At this moment, that sexy zombie suddenly slammed its palm on the ground. The powerful airflow immediately blasted them away. And the originally curvaceous sexy zombie has now transformed into a mutated monster with only 8-pack abs. But fortunately, the transformation was successful. The Steel Club president has finally arrived. At this time, Lanchi, who was seriously injured, shouted, "You are not its opponent!" However, full of confidence, Steel Club president did not pay attention to their words. He arrogantly walked up to the mutated monster and said, "I hope you can withstand my blow. One move to determine the outcome." Steel Club president and the mutated monster both threw punches at the same time. At the moment when the fists collided with the mech armor, the powerful shockwave sent Lanchi and Zoe flying out. It also caught the attention of Zombie not far away. As the smoke slowly dissipated, Iron Knight was already reduced to half a body shell. On the other hand, the mutated monster beside it was completely unharmed. She said, "You have already lost. I am the greatest red-horned zombie in the world, so you just wait to die." However, what he didn't know is that Zombie is about to arrive nearby. Zombie unlocked its second form again. He just threw a casual punch. Just knocked the new generation red-horned zombie out of Earth. The new generation red-horned zombie, in order to destroy the world, unexpectedly activated its third transformation. Didn't expect the baby zombie that hadn't even been weaned at the beginning. At this moment, it has already become a red-horned zombie without any emotions. However, faced with such a terrifying opponent, Lanchi and her companions still have not given up. But in the face of absolute strength, their efforts can only be futile. I only saw red-horned zombie casually raise its hand and flick it. The mech of Steel Club president instantly shattered and fell apart. Lanchi and Zoe were also shaken and thrown 100 meters into the air. Fortunately, at this moment, Zombie showed up in time and rescued the two of them. However, before they could react, he said, "Let's go up." With his words just spoken, countless zombies rushed towards Lanchi and the others. Zombie, who saw the scene, immediately got angry. Immediately, he threw Lanchi and the other two to the ground and said, "Are you blind?" The zombies who heard this were also very confused, so all the zombies stopped what they were doing. And at this moment, Red-Horned Zombie also asked in confusion. Just then, Zombie walked slowly towards the zombie herb and then asked back, "What should I be called?" Countless zombies all knelt down. All zombies were stepped on by Zombie. "Are you afraid to speak when you see my appearance?" The red-horned zombie grinned when he heard this. "Turns out we're from the same kind. Since there can only be one zombie king, let's compare then." He punched Zombie in the face. Such a terrifying punch, only to be mocked by Zombie for not having eaten. Red-horned Zombie, who heard these words, immediately became angry. Zombie's fist landed heavily on its body. The powerful force sent Red-horned Zombie flying several kilometers. In the end, it even flew off the land, with a loud bang landing on the aircraft carrier. Dr. Jamin, who was watching the battle from the rooftop, was dumbfounded at the moment. He said, "How come such a terrifying thing suddenly appeared out of nowhere?" On the other side, Red Horn Zombie laughed. Finally, he encountered someone who could fight. It fiercely plunged into the sea. Then, it lifted the submarine weighing tens of thousands of tons into the sky. After a loud bang, Zombie was already submerged in the dust. And at the same time, on a rooftop somewhere, Bieber was providing emergency treatment to General. However, at this moment, he suddenly said, "I seem to have sensed Zombie's presence." As soon as he finished speaking, a figure suddenly shot out from the middle of the submarine. After that, Zombie was seen flying into the sky. Then he threw the rope and wrapped it around Red Horn Zombie's neck. Then, he pulled sharply towards himself. Zombie gave it a hard kick in the face. Just directly kicked away all the facial features of the Red Horn Zombie. Now Red Horn Zombie is completely angry. It rushed to the ground and lifted up the submarine again. Then he violently swung and smashed towards Zombie. After a loud bang sounded, Zombie was already blasted thousands of kilometers onto the aircraft carrier. At this moment, Zombie said coldly with his eyes, "Do you enjoy smashing things so much?" Red Horn Zombie said, "If you have the ability, you can also smash things." At this moment, it had not realized the seriousness of this statement. And on the other side at the same time, everyone saw how powerful this Red Horn Zombie was. General quickly persuaded, "Let's retreat quickly. The thing that Dr. Jamin researched is not something your zombies can deal with." But before he could finish his words, Bieber smiled disdainfully. "Humans, look carefully. There is no one in this world who can rival Zombie. Even if a god comes, it won't work. Zombie is invincible." As soon as his words fell, Zombie on the aircraft carrier suddenly made a move. He had already arrived in front of Red Horn Zombie. Just as Red Horn Zombie was still surprised by Zombie, why did the speed suddenly increase? Zombie's fist had already fiercely smashed into his face. The terrifying force was direct. It directly sent Red Horn Zombie flying off the earth. However, Red Horn Zombie hadn't had a chance to catch its breath yet. At this moment, an aircraft carrier quickly advanced towards him. With a loud bang, Red Horn Zombie was fiercely smashed into the moon. No one expected that Zombie would actually turn into a handsome guy. Facing the fierce attacks of the Red Horn Zombie, he just casually lifted his hand. The Red Horn Zombie was instantly sliced into countless pieces. It turns out it happened just a moment ago. The Red Horn Zombie was smashed into the moon. At this moment, Lily and the others in the field are completely stunned. The Red Horn Zombie on the moon suddenly exerted force. The aircraft carrier then went straight towards the Earth.